The iPhone 17 Pro Max is the most pro phone Apple has ever made. It's bigger in every dimension, has a larger battery, and a new vapor chamber. But there are some interesting choices like design, materials, and camera features. In this video, I'll go over what it's been like using it and if it's worth upgrading. So let's get into it. Okay, when I first saw pictures and videos of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, I wasn't a big fan of it. The camera plateau looked kinda odd compared to the square camera bump we had since the iPhone 11 Pro, but after using it for a few weeks, I got used to it. It's about 0.4mm bigger in the X and Y axis compared to last year's 16 Pro Max, and 0.5mm thicker for the Z axis. It's also about 6 grams heavier. iPhones haven't changed much over the years, and this new design makes it stand out from previous generations. Alright, the Unibody design is pretty cool. Instead of having a glass sandwich like a traditional smartphone, the aluminium now wraps around the back and edges for one continuous piece. It's similar to how MacBooks and iPads are made, and I noticed the antenna lines are now symmetrical with 2 on each side. The bottom one is gone since Apple integrated a different one around the plateau. They also brought back the 5G millimeter wave cutout on top. So if you haven't heard, Apple went from stainless steel to titanium, and now they switched to aluminum for the Pro models. It's not as premium or strong as titanium, and it feels more slippery. Jerry-rig everything found that anodized aluminum can survive against coins and keys, but the weakest part is the sharp edge around the plateau. I'll still take my chances and rock the phone with no case or screen protector. The only good thing with this material is that fingerprints rarely show up at all. For most people using cases, it won't even matter. If you're a no-case person, it's a step down from titanium. Not a deal breaker though. On the plateau, the cameras still stick out, but it's not as much as before. And no more glass material. It's not completely flush like the Pixel 10 Pro XL, so the iPhone will still rock on a table. One thing I like is that the plateau acts as a resting spot, which takes some weight off my pinky finger when holding the phone, similar to some Android phones. It might look funny to some people, but the plateau actually houses some key components, which makes room for a larger battery. Even though it's a unibody design, there's a ceramic shield glass cutout for wireless charging. The Apple logo is centered on this glass section instead of the middle of the entire phone. If you use a clear case, the logo sits in the edge of the circle and line. I wish it was centered like the iPhone Air, but I guess it's okay. If you're interested in my iPhone Air review, I'll leave it in the cards and link it in the description box below. There are only 3 colors this year instead of the usual 4. Deep blue, which I picked, cosmic orange, and silver. Orange is way too colorful for me, and silver is too light. Deep blue is very similar to blue titanium on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It looks nice and it has different shades depending on the lighting. But if this came in matte black, it'd look even better. I hope there's a black option next year because even the AirPods Max don't come in black, only midnight. I'm thinking about putting a D-brand skin on it. One reason I upgrade my phone is for the cameras. I shoot these YouTube videos on an iPhone, so it's nice to see the quality improvements. And I actually hit 10,000 subscribers, so a big thank you to everyone who subscribed, liked my videos, or left a comment. The wide and ultra-wide cameras stay the same, but the telephoto camera is now 48 megapixels. So all 3 Fusion cameras have the same resolution. The main camera is still the best one though since it has a larger aperture and quad pixels. I mainly record with the wide camera, but now I can use the new telephoto lens for some higher quality close-ups. The zoom is 4x instead of 5x, which sounds like a downgrade, but last year's 5x was only 12 megapixels, and this year's 4x is 48. Less zoom but higher quality. And Apple lets you crop in on that sensor for 8x optical zoom at 24 megapixels. So even more zoom and still better quality. Now it's like having 8 Pro lenses in your pocket. Digital zoom goes up to 40x, but it's not as much reach as Google or Samsung's 100x zoom. I now shoot in log, sometimes in ProRes, but mainly HEVC to save space. I enjoy color grading and making some edits here and there. Apple added some new Pro features like ProRes RAW, OpenGate, and Gen Lock. All of these are only in Final Cut Camera 2.0. ProRes RAW and HQ offer a lot more control and quality by letting you change the ISO or temperature in post. I also use Log 2 for a wider color gamut. Not sure which log setting the stock camera uses though. OpenGate uses the full camera sensor instead of cropping in for the 16:9 aspect ratio. It basically looks like you're taking a photo, and once you shoot it, you have more headroom for picking the aspect ratio you want. So one recording session could be for long form content and short form. Genlock lets different devices sync with each other, but I don't think I'll use it anytime soon. I'm still playing around with ProRes RAW and OpenGate, but I'm learning as I go. The only catch with these pro features is that you'll need an external drive to do any recording. Even with the $2,000 2TB iPhone 17 Pro Max, you can't record on device. File sizes are around 10 to 15 GB each. There's also no 8K video recording. Samsung has it natively, and Google uses AI for video boost. I would like to shoot in 8K for cropping flexibility, but the new telephoto camera will have to do for now. The front camera is now 18 megapixels with a new square sensor. So before, you had to rotate your phone for landscape selfies, and you're probably looking off to the side. Well, now you can take the same selfie while holding the phone in portrait orientation. There's also center stage, which can automatically zoom and rotate to make sure everyone is in the frame. It's much more comfortable, convenient, and natural looking. And if you want manual controls, you can toggle these off. Dual capture is another new feature that lets you record with the front and back cameras. I probably won't use it as much, but it'd be fun at concerts or events. And for some reason, dual capture doesn't support ProRes or log. Performance is fast, but iPhones never felt slow to me. This has a new A19 Pro chip with 12 gigs of RAM, which is probably for Apple Intelligence and video features. Of course, it's faster and more efficient than last year's A18 Pro, but there's better sustained performance thanks to the new design and vapor chamber. The iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max feature a vapor chamber that has deionized water on the inside. When it heats up, it'll turn into a vapor and spread heat across the device. You won't notice a difference if you're doom scrolling, but for gaming, the phone does feel cooler than previous models. Even during the initial setup, the phone stayed cool. I tried Wuthering Waves with maxed out settings at 60 FPS. No 120 yet like the iPad Pro. The game runs perfectly smooth, and temperatures were pretty good. I got a reading around 40 degrees Celsius, which is 3 degrees lower than the iPhone Air. It might not seem like a lot, but the iPhone 17 Pro Max just felt a little warm unlike the Air. I don't think I need to worry about overheating issues down the road. Depending on where you live, the iPhone 17 series have an eSIM-only model, which frees up space for a larger battery. The 17 Pro Max now has a 5000 mAh battery for the first time, matching Samsung and Google's large phones. I normally split my screen time between the iPhone and Android phone, but for testing purposes, I did everything on the iPhone. Social media, content creation, media consumption, gaming, messages, and phone calls. So I charge to 100%, and at 9 PM, I unplug it and use it until I go to bed. The next day, I catch up on notifications and have music playing while I work. I also create content at lunch and after work. The battery can easily last me the whole day and into the next day. I average 4 to 6 hours of screen on time a day, with about 50% battery remaining. Keep in mind I do work from home, and my recording sessions depend on what content I have planned for the week. The longer battery life is another reason I upgraded my phone. I might need to try the 80% limit and see if it can last me all day. Charging speeds did get faster, but you might need new accessories. The 17 Pro Max supports up to 40 watts of wire charging, which you can see here from the Anker 737. You'll be able to charge 50% in 20 minutes with a 40 watt adapter or higher. Wireless charging also got faster at up to 25 watts for the latest MagSafe and Qi 2.2 chargers. I'll stick with my current ones, which can only do 15 watts. The display hasn't changed much from last year. It's still the same 6.9-inch OLED screen, 120Hz ProMotion with thin symmetrical bezels, but it did get 3 upgrades. The front glass is now Ceramic Shield 2, which Apple claims has 3 times more scratch resistant. Jerry Rig Everything did his famous scratch test and couldn't say his usual line. The screen has a new anti-reflective coating, and it does a pretty good job compared to older iPhones, but it's not as good as the Galaxy S25 Ultra. You'll still see reflections, but it's better than nothing. Brightness can now reach up to 3000 nits, but in daily use, you probably can't tell. I never had an issue with seeing the screen outdoors, but these features are a nice addition. Buried under settings, accessibility, display and text size, there's a toggle for display pulse smoothing, or PWM. If you're sensitive to screen flickering, this provides a different way to adjust the screen's brightness at lower levels. Also, if you watch a lot of videos, the speaker was moved to the left side, so it will get blocked depending on how you hold your phone. I wasn't happy about this, but I guess I'm just holding it wrong. This year's iPhones ship with iOS 26 pre-installed. I have a separate video all about the new software features, so I'll link it down below. I like liquid glass and the clear dark icons. It reminds me of Nothing OS, where I need to think twice before I get sucked into another app. Screening tools for messages and phone calls has been very useful, and I like how it can transfer an eSIM from an iPhone to an Android phone and vice versa. So if you want the best iPhone, the 17 Pro Max is the one to get. The longer battery life, pro camera features, and better performance make it worth the upgrade. But the iPhone 17 is the best value for money, and the iPhone Air is just nice to look at. Which iPhone would you get? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!